If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new songs in the description. We got some interesting news because Drake and 21 Savage just delayed their album, Her Loss, that was supposed to drop tomorrow. We're gonna break all the details down and also how this affects Metro Boomin as well. Kind of funny, the whole situation. Let's look at this and let's break this down. So as y'all know, Drake and 21 Savage were supposed to drop their new album Her Loss this Friday on October 28th. They announced that at the end of the Jimmy Cooks video that dropped last Saturday, which was obviously their previous collaboration that was on Drake's Honestly Nevermind record, also the most successful track off of that one, which maybe then led, to them doing this album together, even though I think it was in planning way longer than that, because 21 was already on CLB, now again on Jimmy Cooks as the only feature. So it's it's kind of like they've been working for some time now. And we all thought that this album was going to come out this Friday. Obviously, that's when it was announced for. I dropped several videos already going over some leaks, some theories, some information we have. The most recent one yesterday going over a leaked track list that if you haven't watched that video yet, I would really recommend you go watch it after this video, just if you're interested to get all the infos on the leaks and on all the snippets and stuff that we have on this album so far, without me spoiling anything or playing any snippets. That's not what I do. I just want to give you all the information on that one. But last night we got news from Drake that actually this album got delayed. Now we got to take a look at this because this is obviously really sad. It's too bad that they now have to move the album. It's only moved by a week, but we're gonna look at this first. So let's see. Drake took to his story to share a picture of the video at the end of the Jimmy Cooks video again, kind of like the screen that we all recognize as the announcement for this album, and he wrote to this: "Our brother at OVO 40, so 40, his in-house producer, got COVID while mixing and mastering the crack, so he's resting up. And November 4th is Her Loss Day. We'll see you soon." So this tells us that 40, who all y'all know as Drake's in-house producer, as I just said, and someone that's been very influential on Drake's sound, but in consequence, also the mainstream's, sound that we've just been hearing over the past decade. A very, very influential guy. There's a lot of great short documentaries on him on YouTube. I really, recommend you go check some of them out. Really interesting. But let's stick to what they said. They said that because he got COVID and he was in the process of mixing and mastering it, they have to delay the album. Now, first of all, I'm like, why is he still mixing and mastering this? I get that nowadays, people are mastering and mixing their music and still adding stuff to their albums, right up to the release of it. It's never like the album is done and then you decide on a release date. That was more like it was back in the day. Back in the day, you had a schedule and you were like, okay, till then I gotta have it finished and turned in, and then it's coming out, in 3 months now. Nowadays, very, very short notice that stuff is being mixed and mastered. That's no offense to 40. He's probably doing an amazing job doing this, and I want him to take the time that he needs to make this a masterpiece. But I'm like, wait, why are you still mixing? You announced it on such a short-term notice. You've been knowing about the release of this ever since you shot the video and announced it. That was probably a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know. It's like a lot of rappers are delaying their albums. We're gonna get into one more in a second, because Metro Boomin also delayed his album because Drake is dropping, but we'll get into that in a second. But that was my first thought on this. Well, then they also added that it's now going to be dropping November 4th, so that will be next week, next Friday. It's only delayed by a week, which to me is that's great news. That probably means that it was actually 40 catching COVID and not being able to mix and master it. A lot of the times, some of these rappers be capping and just delaying their album for no reason, maybe because they just went off schedule and couldn't get anything done in time, and then they blame it on clearing samples or something. We've had that happen quite a lot of times, but this time, because it's just a week, I think it's really just 40 catching COVID, and I wish the guy all the best. I hope he recovers very well and gets back in the studio to complete this album, but he needs to take his time for himself and kind of get that rest and then go back in the studio and work on that. So in terms of just the release date, I don't think any fan is hugely disappointed because it's just a week. We can wait another week, but I get if people are disappointed, but in this case it's actually a real reason. Now, they're saying it's her loss day. So apparently that's like a actual day that they wanted to convey. It's not like, oh, that's the release date. It's her loss day. I just thought that was funny that they like really went in full mode on that one. Just a quick anecdote I wanted to give there. And so here's the thing now. This is where it gets interesting. Metro Boomin was also supposed to release his new album, Heroes and Villains, on November 4th. I went over the release of that album in a couple of videos back in September, at the beginning of September when he announced it. And he never said anything about the album. It was still on schedule to drop November 4th. But now, just like 2-3 hours, or like, you know, after this news came, I think it might have been even less than that, he took to Twitter to say, I couldn't get all the samples on my album cleared in time for next week, so I'm dropping on December 2nd now, so I have enough time to make sure you all get this masterpiece as intended. I promise it's worth the wait. P.S. I would never move my album date because of anyone else. And the people in the comments are already like, yeah, bro, stop the cap. It's like, of course you moved your album because of Drake. And to me, this is very suspicious as well. Maybe it was just bad timing, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, obviously, because I like the dude, and I believe him that it'll be worth the wait, because the last one, Heroes, and Not All Heroes Wear Capes, that was an amazing record. But on this one, it's kind of like, why just like 2 hours after Drake and 21 Savage delay their album? Pretty weird, I gotta admit. It's actually pretty weird, but we gotta move with it. This happened. It's dropping December 2nd now. Now, this might have also just showed that it is actually the samples because he's taken a whole nother month. It might also be because the week after, which would have been the next possible release date, Roddy Ricch is already dropping Feed the Streets 3, and he just wants to kind of steer clear of that. As I said, that is not confirmed if he actually did delay his album because of Drake and 21 Savage. It would also not make sense for 21 Savage, for example, because he's obviously going to be a whole lot on that Metro Boomin album because the two of them work together very closely. And so for him to drop two projects, even though he's obviously not a main artist on the Metro Boomin one, but a very much represented artist on that one, just wouldn't make a lot of sense in my view of it, and also commercially, because I still believe 21 got this great strategy that he's dropping the Drake tape, then he's dropping the Metro Boomin tape, and then his solo album is coming out. That's kind of my theory on the release of 21 Savage, but we're going to have to wait and see how this all plays out, because obviously we can't look into their heads. But all in all, we got to say, I wish 40 a, good recovery, something, that he can get back to his old peaks and heights to and get this whole thing mastered and mixed. And I think that's something that he's very frustrated with himself as well, that he can't get this done in time. But I believe it's great that they take the time to do this because it's only a week. We can all wait for that. It's not a big deal. But the one with the Metro Boomin situation is kind of suspicious. We got to have an eye on him. He did say, I would never move my album because of anyone else. Because he was already aware of people, gonna accusing him of that. But it is what it is. I'm waiting for that new Drake album to come out next Friday. I'm really hyped for it. As I said, I recommend you go check out the 2 videos that I dropped on the theories and the fan-made theories and the leaks on this one. I also will make a playlist on this whole album that you can go check out on my channel to get all the latest videos on this whole Her Loss album that I dropped ever since it got announced, which is very interesting because it's gonna become even more the closer we get to the release of it. But it's interesting. We're gonna have to wait and see how that turns out. But until then, let me know all your thoughts on this, all your theories. Do you think Metro is capping? Do you think Metro, delayed it because of Drake? I do. I gotta be real with you. I do believe he did it because of Drake. So all your thoughts on this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.